When COVID-19 made its way around the globe, few people could have predicted the impact it would have in every corner of the world. The pandemic has affected everyone, neither rich nor poor. People of the north, south, east or west were spared from its impacts. However, not everyone was affected in the same way.
COVID came when we were already struck. We were already in dire situations. So COVID was only there to really make the situations which were dire even worse.
As media, money, power, and policy reorganized into reporting and responsive modes, many communities already marginalized from global flows of knowledge and resource were not seen, not heard, and not supported.
It is these voices that are presented in this documentary through conversation, story, song, art, and play in partner communities in Malawi, Botswana, Uganda, Nigeria, and Eswatini. We share voices that are seldom heard in mainstream media. We glimpse experiences and challenges, perspectives, and needs that fail to impact early policy shifts and resources allocations.
Schools and markets were shut down and borders closed in the name of containing the spread of COVID.
These were borrowed and imposed policy directives, which created different types of challenges in people's lives.
A number of the community members were really feeling, they felt really let down by our government.
Many people lost their jobs and means of livelihood. This made it difficult for people to access cash economies, which meant they could not access food or basic supplies.
Àwọn mẹ̀kúnnù náà ni kíní affect kò lè affect olówó torí pé ó ń ṣe ọwọ́ ó ti mọ̀ pé tóun ò bá bọ́ta owó lè wọlé fò owó èdè sì ni kálukú ná tẹ́ mọ́ gbogbo àwọn ìyálọ́jà kéréje káàkiri bọ̀ àwọn olówó táwọn wà nílé àwọn ń jẹ̀gbádùn tiwọn ní táwọn jẹ ti wà nílé fáwọn ọ̀gá tó gọ́ta owó aláàrú tí wọ́n pè bọ̀ ẹ ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ ọwọ́ bíi wẹ́dà ni o ẹ ti àbí yàdẹ̀sà àbí kó sàdíjẹ́ ní ti oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́ báyẹn sá bí òde sọ́ọ̀bù owó ò lè tẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ tí ó mú lọlé tí ó fi jẹun fún òun àtàwọn mọ̀lẹ́bí rẹ̀. Gbogbo àwọn tó ń ṣe bí ìṣòwò náà bí bísínẹ́sì oní ò lè ráyè sọ pé òun lọ síbì kan láti lọ sí bísínẹ́sì ẹ̀ tó máa ṣe tá a fi rí géènì tá a mú lọlé fáwọn fámìlì láti fi jẹun so ó àfẹ́ ti mẹ̀kúnnù tó pọ̀.
Ni sibekela tandla ngokwasha kwesonkonga ngiyakhona mina upakile kwakude akuthaka umuntu kuhleli thina nazi betandla sisola yini ngabe siyifuza ukuze sifuzele kwakuphi lesi thaka umuntu akuthiwani esingamanye sicele uhulumende kumsasata ngasita kanjani uhulumende kuyokhona ngasita ngawo thina njengasesinamalanga bathi uyathuka kumana bekhona nje lazama ngabo sinetana
ndetsoa le sibona kwamuntu hayi ishenga ta business ndio vako vitu vya kukulisa somba business ndio tukakulisa kazi kusiana chukua huko na kitu kwambia somba sitima tutasanga bana kwa matenda Uganda wao kwa geni hivi
àti jẹ asádùúpẹ́ lọ́dún ọlọ́run ọjọ́ lọ́dẹ́dẹ́ ọmọ jáwùn gbogbo ọjà ló sì wọ̀n.
Most governments in Africa could not afford universal provision of food and other basic necessities. These economic and food inequalities worsened because the support system like extended families, friends, schools, and faith communities that usually help to mitigate and address these inequalities were cut off.
What did they do? No, the government no any assist us now.
Nobody assisted.
Nobody assists us. You need to listen to me. So that is why I'm trying to come here and open this business to save my life and my family.
I want to ìjọba kan fún lóúnjẹ ọ̀fẹ́ tó fi ilé ọ̀fà tó fi ilé ọ̀sìn lọ́gbọ́n jẹ́ sí ilé wọn ọmọ ìṣìkan bẹ́ẹ̀ náà wá àwọn ẹbí ń pa nígboro ìjọba ò fún wa nígbà kan ká máa gbọ́ kára wọn fún mi sílẹ̀ kan wọ́n náírà báyìí.
ẹwà owó àti ẹ̀tọ́ inú wa ti dùn pé àwa náà ó fún àkáǹtì pé kákàgbọ́ tólóló àwọn ọmọgbọ́n bá ṣe lọ rè gba ẹgbẹ̀rún mẹ́wàá wọn ní òpin ààrí náírà kan níbí o kò sẹ́ńdẹ̀ kankan tó rí nǹkan kan àti ráìsì àti ṣé ilé kan téèyàn mẹ́fà wà nù ilé tí a gbé kó bí owó ráìsì kan fún ẹ dúró ná ṣé tòmátòsì ni wọ́n fi pín ni àbí síbí.
Labutlano le matlhatso nna ke ntse ke loratora Labutlano le matlhatso ke nna ke loratora Ka mafatse a Aforika ba na le hatse ka bopara Ba bolwetse ba corona gore ya pesitse Ba koba ka letsoba Botswana o boletse A re ina le beseromo ba na bolwetse COVID A re ina le beseromo bolwetse ka na COVID
One thing I've noticed is that throughout this COVID thing, those who have money, and those who don't have money are the worst.
The lockdown policies exposed new levels of inequality between the rich and the poor. Children of families who could afford digital devices and data stayed in school studying online, while children from poorer families were excluded due to lack of digital access.
It's just my marks. Because this is when you was but this is online. Good to know that data was figured out now. Kwanza kuzitongena kanye ngelifiki. Ngelufunze into eziningi kakhulu. Naseklasini sesifunza nje abalecturer abakhuluma nje abangelani ukuthi siyafa noma sifa. Khona sifunza kwa 2 weeks staff lebesathatha inyanga yonke.
Children and young people were left with few alternatives for care or activities. The period has been heavily marked with teenage pregnancies, petty crimes, and children leaving school entirely.
Nǹkan tó bàjẹ́ kì í ṣe pọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ àjò nìkan. Ó disturb education àwọn ọmọ. Ìgbà tó fi yẹ káwọn ọmọ ó ṣe exam. Tó ń ráyè election wọn ní gbogbo nǹkan tó fẹ́. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn student tó jẹ́ kó lóyún. Tó lóyún ẹ̀sìn nígbà yẹn.
Things really got bad. Most young girls, they started selling their bodies. They joined. Okay, usually we always had those people who do that, but I think now they're more, because people opted for doing that because that was the only way to get money now. Because you couldn't go to work, you couldn't do any other thing but sell body.
No, actually, àwọn kan ti rapist. Ó jẹ́ pé wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní rape àwọn tó yẹ kó wà láyé institution tí wọ́n ráyè lọ. Àwọn yẹn náà àwọn káwọ̀dì wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní lo àǹfààní yẹn láti máa rape àwọn ọmọ káàkiri tó rẹ̀ yẹ pé ó ń ba ayé ọmọdé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ míì di sìn ó ti ba ayé ọmọdé wọn lè padà sí.
Ọba lego wa wan ya ruwari lego dari hotian wa ngeu yo ba ermani siane corona te binu te chigu kanisha ko kar yo chigu kanisha wandu to bere me yo po lego keru tiano wa dan tio bere gere pachu tiano ta da school nishu tiano corona ngolo tiano wa ha tiene school mai chani tiano mo dong nishu ni yo ka mit ba kut chen ne dok yo cha chul dok pis dok itit kun ri corona ngolo wa ha tiene ko school kat ko pa
Locally, the pandemic has affected social, economic, cultural, and spiritual practices that are critical to sustaining communities,
especially communities that have previously sustained themselves with little to no formal or national support. Local systems and practices that had sustained these people through many other crises and global inequities were jeopardized.
amabira uchalichi kunapasigara muro kuti uchalichimo aina kukhala manthu otani ochepa asapyole antise komasazikhala 1 meter kutalikirana kwachi ndezi kumakhala zovuta abe anthu ena amangopanga chisankho choti basi ndingokhala kuno pamene kupembedza ndimene kuli kotani kofunika kwambiri
bengafanele masonto avalwe ngoba lisonto kuyiwa kanye nje everyday kanye nje everyday ngabe ungenani uhulumende ubukile lokuthi cha le mithetho yaka COVID-19 lamasonto ayayigcina yini
siyana ndeno kwera kwabiri oyenda ulendo zovuta kupita kumaliro a COVID eti nde anzanga nusu ndenge
le hala ka gore tota puso ya rona ga e se dumele thata mo modimo wa setso mme nna hela ba batang go gona ga ke bone di ka isa go nna jang ke siela motho mo le mo then ga ke fonde go tswa motho ka complaina gore ka ntse ke na le COVID kana go dira kana from there ke nna ga ke thole ke ka bona lo tse dintsi jana mo motho.
All available healthcare were rerouted to slow the spread of COVID-19. As a result, maternity healthcare and the prevention practices relating to other diseases also were sidelined.
So I would request that next time if there is a case of that kind, we also be considered first. Because now, you see, we have the people who are really sick, and we are really prone to whatever infection that is really there. So we request that next time if there is a case of that kind, we also be prioritized.
In order to curtail the spread of the virus, countries set up a range of standard operating procedures, including dictating people's behaviors, curfews, and lockdowns. Enforcing these COVID restrictions, however, was taken up as an opportunity through which law enforcers extorted money and brutalized people.
Stop, my friend. Swim well. Are you mad? So if you want win swimming certificate, as soon as... Okay, my friend, are you crazy? Are you showing emotion?
akabakira akaveza novarenga kwatekera auripiye mareni 1000 muntu akasaka pakhomo yorara haji ndeuri basi ka autava kaka achirotava tsibanga
pacha matende iti kulokwe
obakira gemoto kumati adakakala manona kuti muntu agwire ntchito asamurenge muntu yangoendenda mura amurenge before inagwire ntchito afuna vazetembezera pacha rapakhomo ko muntu agwire ntchito amurenga woendenda amurenga ndeve lusenetse kwanje uja urenga thandizo ri asabe abe bavure agwire ntchito palakwika tizidya ja
mbalo tí mo mi ní pé ẹlòmíì kò sùn station rí láyé ẹ̀ táìmù kòró yẹn ó sùn station especially èmi tẹ́ ń wò yìí mo ń bọ̀ látẹ̀lé ẹlé alọ́ṣiṣẹ́ lẹ́ẹ̀lẹ́ ni so a ti kọjá aago tí wọ́n ní everybody máa wọ́n ṣe kó gbogbo wa pọ̀ nìyẹn everybody. wọ́n kó wa lẹ́lẹ́ ẹlẹ́.
kaafiyu fenna twalaba embeera eyaliwo nga bwe yali baganda bange bonna mu geta awo tumanyi fenna ekyaliwo about kaafiyu oluyimba luno naluwandiika after nga maze kukwatibwa nange ngono bwe yakwatibwa ate nga bansanga wabweru just kufunamu ka fresh air ne bankwata.
Buli omwali buroko ne ugali yaggwada mu stoko n'amaduuka maggalebwa mu ndaba ziroko. Embeera ya karantini sobola okugigoba saala na ddiini togatta ate saala na siini obusajja butusalako ngwala kakini kafyu 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 buli wamu kafyu kafyu.
Us not working won't stop COVID-19 at all, because this thing is here to stay, obviously, because even HIV was there before and we are living with HIV. So there's nothing, we are not smart to not get COVID. It's just the grace of God.
It has never been more clear that diverse communities around the world need to be heard for the particular, for the cultural, and for the human characteristics of their context.
Long-standing based practices like faith practices, traditional medicine and healing, local education, and many other sustained ways of life cannot be overridden with globalized standard operating procedures or borrowed policies.
At the same time, our global humanity and critical interconnectedness on this planet requires us to extend our gaze to many needs and ways of being,
and to acknowledge, adapt, and translate the information and resources that are often limited mainstream media, communications, and economic and political gains.
I really hope we can reflect on all the points raised by everyone and find a way in which we can really make them work for communities which are under stress, were under stress before COVID, and unfortunately seem as though will continue to be extremely stressed during and after COVID.
As our world continues to teach us of our interdependency and the next globally faced challenge is tangible, we must remember we are all affected, but in very different ways.
We must find ways to pay attention to needs, approaches, and communities outside of our own, to support one another, learn from one another, and celebrate and respond to the plurality of peoples and ways of being.
Johnny coronavirus,